Yes, so I can confirm that there was a meeting which took place yesterday. Of course, NUMSA, with the reading of our own constitution of COSATU, we took a conscious decision to write to the leadership of the Federation to register the fact that from where we stand as a National Union of Metal Workers is that the meeting sanctioned was not constitutional, or the meeting convened was not constitutional, in that, as you would know, COSATU is a mandatory federation. We work on the basis of mandate and accountability. In terms of a special Central Executive Committee, the leadership of the federation in the form of national office bearers can convene a special meeting on the basis of a requisition, meaning that they must actually request a meeting to affiliates and therefore state the basis of why the meeting is being called. And on the basis of that, affiliates use those substantiated reason and motivation to seek mandates from their own constituency and then attend that meeting on the basis of being aware of what are the issues that will be debated. In this particular case, that was not being done. We were not aware as to what exactly does the leadership of the Federation want us to debate. And as a result of that, we said, look, the meeting was not constitutional, and we felt it was important for them to postpone, but they refused at all costs. And indeed, we were in a meeting yesterday. Quite frankly, those affiliates that had an agenda to suspend NUMSA Vavi will receive information which was the report of the grievance procedure. On the basis of that, they decided to suspend NUMSA Vavi.
Allow me to just interrupt you there. Was the term suspension used, or was it leave of absence, special leave?
Well, I mean, basically is the suspension. We can get into the details whether it is absent, is a leave of absence, but the bottom line is that he was being suspended.
And in your interpretation, what is suspension, and in what they say is a special leave of absence?
I think suspension of special leave or being basically a condition is the whole intention is to make sure that it doesn't function during the period of this particular suspension that has been imposed on him, which is an issue that NUMSA has been fighting for the rest of this year. I mean, you would remember that since the 11th Congress, in every central committee, there have been attempts to make sure that NUMSA Vavi is basically suspended or is not allowed to operate. And I must say, this particular saga presented an ammunition to those who have been championing this particular agenda of trying very hard to make sure that it does not perform. It was other unions who participated in this particular process, whom I'm not willing to talk about. The bottom line is that NUMSA was in good standing.
Let's deal with what, in your view, is the impact, the ramifications of this decision to suspend or either place on special leave NUMSA Vavi.
Well, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa has been very consistent in that basically COSATU have taken a decision in its Congress to elect leadership, and anybody who would have wanted to stop that leadership not to operate, the best fair thing to do is to convene a national Congress, which is why we call for a special Congress to attend that. Anything which is an attempt, it's almost like stealing the democracy for workers, but also is to rob workers of their leader to champion the program of action, which is about fundamental change to deal with the current challenges that affect the working class in the country.
Would that be your view of what happened with the president of SATU? The suspension?
Well, I wouldn't want to comment on SATU, but it's rather very strange that from what we're hearing is that he has been suspended for purely being there where NUMSA Vavi was addressing, for workers, for confirming that workers have accepted his apology. What for us is very strange is that NUMSA Vavi is not a person on grata, is not banned. What could be the basis of suspending Dollar for being there when Vavi addressed? He should have stopped him, and he didn't do that, and that he basically qualified himself for suspension.
And just a final question to those who are detractors of the General Secretary, who would claim that he opened himself up to this by the mere public admission that he did indeed have sexual relations with a junior member of COSATU and on the premises of COSATU.
I must tell you that this is an opportunism of note. The bottom line is that Zuma has not been charged in any court of law. In the grievance procedure that was pursued inside the Federation, it was withdrawn. For people to take snippets of what would have emerged in the statement that he made is an opportunism of note, and we reject it. NUMSA will meet today and define its way.